for someone who's thinking about podcasting or maybe even started and need to correct, I know there's not, even in terms of, when I messaged you the other day, okay, what do you use for headset? And there's like, it's kind of like a woman going to the lingerie store, excuse my language. So, what would you recommend? Where do they start? What would maybe give them that slight edge, if you will, aside from the one big thing anybody who is doing anything would say to you of being consistent, but where would they start? What would you recommend? Give us your 10 rules for podcasting or 7 rules or whatever it is that you have. And go right.
All right, rule. All righty, rule. Oh, yeah, so rule number 11, go to Victoria's Secret. There you go.
Number 11 at the bottom. VS, not a VS.
No, but seriously though, join Facebook communities. That'll be one. So there's the podcast, the support group. That's a great community. They're so helpful. That's the thing about the podcasting community. Another wonderful out to be spells and mention that podcasting communities, especially the Facebook ones, they're really, really helpful. A lot of folks ask the same questions a week, whether it be like, hey, how to monetize? Like, what mic do you use? What's your setup look like? So that'll probably be one. If you're on Facebook, take advantage of Facebook groups, because I never knew the power of Facebook groups until last summer when I joined a few and actually became social there. So that'll be one. Go there because you can learn tips. They update frequently, weekly. Get to connect with people, get best tips and practices. As for equipment, I'd say just get a Blue Snowball microphone. I know a lot of folks are just going to disagree with that. They say you should get a Rode microphone, get this huge setup or whatever. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. When you make it big, go for it. Just go all out crazy, get that. But just get a Blue Snowball microphone, hook it up to the computer. It's a USB microphone. It's about $69.99 at Walmart, or probably get it cheaper on Amazon. Get a pair of headphones, have them on while you're recording, so that way you can hear the person's voice as clear as possible if you're doing an interview-based podcast. And heck, if you're doing one on, there may be another podcast coming from me soon where maybe just me, but more details on that down the road. So there's that. Zoom is also a great option nowadays. That's probably the easiest option to go with, is Zoom, because it's so intuitive and a lot of folks have good results with it. And I like to use Zoom for international calls and whatnot. And heck, and believe it or not, I actually use freeconferencecall.com because it's pretty much straightforward and easy that way. And because that's where I basically started from, because my first Skype interview, I recorded it, but the guest's voice wasn't so clear. So I'm like, all right, I need to have a backup plan here. So I just did that. So that's another one. So how many you got so far? Look, because I'm not keeping count.
I have 3. That's okay. You don't have to give us all, but enough to get someone started, because sometimes people just need that push. They know it, they have the idea, and they've made it seem so outlandish. Oh my gosh, I need to have the perfect setup, and I mean, this is here because the wall unit broke on the other side, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Just get creative and split it in half. So half's there, half here.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Before it was just the wall. I chose this wall because my thinking was when your back is against the wall, you have to shift. And that's why I like doing it by the wall.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, by the wall. We call that the wailing wall. I'm just messing with you.
The wailing wall. When you're crying out, just move. You know what I mean? You just wiggle a little bit. So we're at 4. We're going to 5, or 3's good? 3's good.
Okay, well, here's a bonus one. For those who do interview-based podcasts, please have a scheduling link to choose from, so that way it's a lot easier, because the whole back and forth emails of like, oh, so what's your availability next week? All right, no, what's your time zone. I'm like, all right, time zone is this and that. I mean, yeah, you'll still get the date down, but at the same time, with the scheduling link, at least I got an idea of what your schedule's like, and if I can adjust mine to fit yours, that would be great. So just for those who do interview-based podcasts, try to incorporate some sort of scheduling link. And funny enough, that really added a lot more ease to the beginning steps of the podcast, because in a way, it's a side business in a way, because these are the basic business hours for the Going North podcast, these times, these slots. And you can always adjust in a way, but if you have that scheduling link, folks will be able to choose down the road how far in advance they can record. And if it doesn't work, you can always try to adjust with someone else's schedule, because I'd say 95% of my interviews were successfully scheduled through a scheduling link. The other 5%, yeah, that happened because when I was using Calendly, it forgot to send the text notification, or if it did send a text notification, it was the fact that because I had to adjust to someone else's schedule, like Kirsty Salisbury, she's in New Zealand. Our times didn't fit. So 7 a.m. for me, I think she's like 12 hours ahead. It would have been like maybe like 3 a.m. or something in the morning for her. So just being able to have that scheduling link for those who have a guest-based interview style podcast, because that would save a lot of time.
That's an awesome tip, and I'll definitely follow that one a little bit closely to myself, because I know we had to, like, we schedule it and you were able to reschedule and, you know, change your date and time. So that's awesome. And what about for, you know, promoting? You know, what do you recommend? Because I know I was speaking with someone yesterday, and some of the little things that we might do or we might think of, and I know you said you're a millennial, but you're one of those way advanced millennial, if you will.
That's right.
Yeah, but when you're sharing the information or inviting somebody to watch, do you recommend, hey, make sure you send the link with them so they don't have to go search? You know, it's right there. Makes it easy for them to click on it. You take away the SQs. You know, how do you do that? That's a recommend, or?
Yeah, so when the interview goes live, I usually like to shoot the guest an email with links to where they can find their podcast. So currently my podcast we found in about 16 different places.
Wow.
So I just share them the link to those places, and most of them be like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And they'll just share like the YouTube or something, because YouTube is the biggest place for it, just content, period, to be honest. Although that's not where most of my listeners come from. iTunes is still the big one. So just emailing the guest, letting them know it's live, and I shoot them a Dropbox link with the MP3 file as well, so that way you can have a copy for the records, so they can put it on their website or whatever. Because folks like to keep a nice little highlight reel or media trail. So that's just for letting the guests know as for promoting it. I like to be a little bit like Grant Cardone, keep my story out at all times, so my subconscious mind is always working, because on the back of my business card it mentions the Going North podcast. Listen to it on iTunes or YouTube. Those are two biggest places right now for both, because YouTube, everybody knows YouTube. For those who may be a little older, they may be like, oh, YouTube, I can do that. And iTunes are like, iTunes, I mean, it's good for podcasts, and that's where it begun and all that good stuff, but I'm personally not a fan of it, because you have to have this separate app, and it doesn't work on a Google Chrome OS system like with this Chromebook. So that's a good one. Also, Facebook ads are very, very useful as well. Take advantage of Facebook ads now while they're still affordable. You can run a $10 ad that'll run a week in like all over the United States and possibly, I think, actually all over the world, I think. And just repurposing podcast content for later, right? I have a couple articles I published on LinkedIn and Medium.com, the 8 Great series. So there's like the 8 great phrases from 8 personal development experts, 8 great phrases from U.S. Army vet or U.S. veterans, and just taking some favorite quotes from their episodes, putting the link after each quote and just writing a quick little blurb about it, sharing that on LinkedIn, Facebook, all my social medias, and then running an ad on that. So that way, if I interviewed someone out in Denver, Colorado, they'll be like, hey, they might see that person's face on there, and they'll click it and see Then the guest might be like, oh, I forgot I was on that podcast 3 months ago. And they'll be like, yeah. And then they might actually share it again. So there's multiple ways of doing it, but just uploading the content, having the guests share it. If they don't share it, then that just means you have to pull more of the legwork with Facebook ads, sharing it. Headliner.com, just taking a picture or something of the podcast logo, or just two of the folks talking together and running that for 60 seconds, pushing that out to folks, asking folks to share that with folks that even, while I'm at vending events, I usually meet authors, do book swaps with them, ask them if they want to be on the show, get some free publicity and all that. So there's multiple ways of doing it. That's what I do personally. So just take advantage of what you have available. I mean, especially if you're not big balling, if you don't have the football and the basketball going at the same time, and you just have the two hands and maybe one stress ball, then use what you can with that one stress ball.
That's the key. I'm so glad you said that, because so many, as I said, they look and they think it's magic you're creating, or you have, you know, some great technology. You're saying, hey, $9.99 for Snowball, you know, microphone, right? So it's just a desire to start. Dom, thank you so much for giving us the time and for sharing us on podcasting, why we need to do it, how we can get it done, and just taking away the excuses. And there you go. You have a millennia right here that's doing podcasting, and half a century lady that's doing running a YouTube. So we are together showing you that, you know, it doesn't choose, it doesn't have side, there is no favorite. It's just a decision to, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work, you know. And when Dom's going to send me a list so we can fill in from 1 to 10, because I know I have number 11 as Victoria's Secret on the list. And that is actually my favorite store, even though they have changed so much. And that speaks to what we're even talking about, because podcasting is about how communication and radio and technology has changed and will continue to change. Right? Yes, YouTube is great, but so many people are podcasting now because it's still a lot easier to be able to do that in the car, because that's where we're spending so much time these days, you know, on the go while you're working, you know, in between lunch and activities. Okay, so Dom, I'm going to let you take it home. Introduce us to Going North as you would your show. You know, pretend that the S.H.I.F.T community is your guest, and close it out for us.
Well, thanks for having me on, Pomoni. Appreciate you. Miss PG herself. The whole county's been named after you, believe it or not. So you might as well go ahead and snag that one. No, but seriously, though, it's great to be on the show with you this morning, and the Going North podcast, like to call it the highlight reel builder for authors. So if you yourself are an author or you're an aspiring author, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to interview you once your book comes out or as your book is closer to being released. And we just want you to advance yourself and advance others along the way, because life is short and long at the same time. It's short because your life could end tomorrow, and it's long because if you don't do what you want to do today to help make your dream a reality, then you're going to be living with the weight of regret on your deathbed. You're going to be so mad at yourself for that. So get out there today. If you want to write that book, now's the time to do it. There are a lot of folks out there doing co-author projects so they can be considered an author. That's probably the easier route to take because someone else is doing the heavy lifting. You just got to write, fight those inner demons, and just make it work. So get out there, do something, make it happen. And it doesn't have to be perfect. My first 2 episodes, my interview style was horrible. It's gotten a lot better now. So everybody's going to have a point of sucking in the beginning. But get the suck out of the way so that way you can be sensational in the end.
Absolutely. And tell us where we can find you. I mean, I know I come to Maryland every so often because that's my home state. So it's easy for me to find you, but don't you want everybody else to find you?
Yeah, that's right. Find me in your nearest closet. I was messing with you. No, but seriously though, I'm on. I'm all over the internet. Feel free to Google me. Go to donbrightman.com. I'm on most of the major social medias: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Even got a Pinterest account. I'm not sure how that fully works, but I got a Pinterest account. And feel free to shoot me an email at donbrightman@gmail.com. Let me know what you liked about this episode, and keep supporting, promoting all of her endeavors as well. And keep a lookout for my upcoming book called Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. There's a special on that book right now. It's 99 cents for the ebook, and it's going to launch on May the 8th. So May is going to be marvelous. This is a nice Mother's Day gift for your wonderful mother, who is probably a hardworking professional who's working 5 different jobs right now just to keep food on her table. Get this book for her, because she's going to need it to stay the course to being the elite performer that she is. I get it for your dad for Father's Day in advance. Get it as a graduation gift.
Absolutely.
Some of the stuff in this book, this is some of the stuff I wish I would have heard before I went to college, because I would have saved a whole lot of more time. So if you want to be an elite performer, check out that book. It's 99 cents on Amazon, and then check out the book Going North as well. It's not just a podcast, it's also a book and soon to be a movement. It's self-help for the distracted. So go ahead and pick it out. And I do read both of these books. So the audiobook will be out soon for book number 2. And book number 1 is on audible.com. So if you don't like reading, you can hear the book too.
Awesome. Awesome. There we go. So that's it, Shift Nation. Remember, share the information with a friend. Comment, subscribe. Take the information that Dom has given. What we do when we have our guests come on and they're sharing, we are reducing your slight edge, that curve. So we're allowing you to get to that place of elevation that much more quickly, because we're taking out some of your detours. It's like if I'm going to drive from here to Maryland and Dom goes, hey, don't take High 81 because such and such and such is happening, then I know to plan my route without getting to High 81 and realize, oh, it's closed now, I have to go. I would have saved the time to have gone up and then have to go off and just go somewhere else. And that's what we're giving you, that slight edge, the shift, shift, that slight move that will get you closer to your goal. Remember